Hi, everybody. My name is Matt Hames, and I'm the Associate Vice President for Digital and Social Strategy at 3Enrollment Marketing. Earlier this week, I attended Meta Connect 2023, the Meta event that talked about the upcoming things that are happening at the company Meta. I attended that event wearing a headset because, of course, I did. And in that event, there was a virtual world where I was in attendance with other people who were attending through their headsets as well. And then when the event started, there was a bunch of things that we could do prior to the event, and the event was delayed a little bit. So we were inside that room just kind of exploring. There were some scavenger hunt games. There were just some interesting things to do or talk to people. There was this real weird networking thing that we had to do to get our badges. We had to work with somebody to open up our badges. So like there was some forced networking, which was awkward but interesting. I see what they were trying to do. And then when the event started, it was on a big, huge screen, like a massive screen, because everything is more massive inside of these headsets. It was a massive screen with a live stream of the actual event. And one of the really interesting things that Mark Zuckerberg said in this event was that the goal of Meta is to bring the real world, is to combine the real world and the digital world. And that got me really thinking about higher education, right? So a lot of campuses are these gorgeous combinations of old and new. You look at really an old building, but inside that old building is updated and vibrant tech. Like some of the fastest internet that you're ever going to find is on a campus. Some of the groundbreaking technology that is happening in the labs on a campus. You walk in, I was this summer making a presentation at Duville University, and Duville is a great example of that. Gorgeous old buildings, but inside is some beautiful and incredible tech, from like VR rooms to just this incredible tech inside of the building. So it's the story of higher education is this old and new. And one thing that we do inside of higher education in telling the story is we always say, if we could get them on campus, we can really tell them the story of our school. It's hard to picture this combination of old and new unless you go on campus and walk around it, and you kind of walk through the halls that are old and into a room that is incredibly new. So this old and new is a really interesting thing that higher education offers. And it's really hard to get that across with digital. So it has always been hard. You can send a postcard, and as the parent of a current senior, there's a lot of postcards that say, come on campus and see for yourself. This is the effort, right? As we start to fill out the Common App and think about where we want to go, we get a lot of messages that basically say, come on campus. And if you've watched Jim Rogers or you came to the Institute for Higher Education, you know that even when we get on campus, it's not exactly a perfect experience, but it's an experience that you can actually feel. So you can see the ivy on the walls, or you can see the building. You can walk into the building and you can see the tech. Like there is something to that is a profound experience in comparison to the story that's being told via digital. The .edu is not telling that story, and no matter what clever things you're doing on social platforms, you're not necessarily telling the story. Even having somebody stand on campus and say, look at this with a phone is not necessarily telling the full story. It's telling a story, and those are important stories to tell. And at 3Enrollment Marketing, we have an incredible tech stack that tells that story in a profound way. So I'm not saying that that's not a good story, but what I am saying is that this kind of tech and the new MetaQuest 3 that is coming this October is trying to be the combination between the real world and the digital world. And what does that mean? So in his presentation, what he talked about is when you put on the headset, the pass-through rate is going to be really, really good. And what that just means is that you can see in this headset that when you put it on, you can't see, right? And you can, the pass through on this headset right now is this grainy black and white film that looks like it's just enough to make sure you don't walk into a wall, basically. But if you saw the Apple video this summer where they talked about their headset next year, the pass through was glorious, right? It was, you put on the headset and you could see the kitchen if you wanted to, or you could see your work if you wanted to. So the pass through was seamless. And I think this pass through option, this ability to wear headsets or glasses and see something different, both on campus and off campus, is I think where we can start to really tell the story of higher education. So, and again, with the new Meta Quest 3, with the new headset, the pass-through is so good that I can put a picture on my wall in the VR headset, and then when I put my headset on, that picture is permanently there. So that picture permanently is there. So when you start to think about tours, if you walk somebody down a hallway with that headset on, they could both see and walk, and the pass-through has 2 high-def color cameras, so they can see what's around them, but also they can see things that are on the wall. So that's really interesting combination of the real world and digital world. But it gets even more interesting because on school visits, when you go to a high school, you could then more interestingly bring the campus experience to people. And I think that's where the future is, both on campus and off campus, 2 entirely different use cases. But I think that's where we're going, where the real world and the digital world can combine in such a way that you tell stories. So I'm pretty excited about this. I know I've been kind of jabbering on, but I think what's the most interesting part of this is that at this particular point in the life cycle of headsets, I use this headset mostly to watch movies, and it's really uncomfortable. I can't even watch a 2-hour movie with it because this thing weighs a lot and it sits on my head wrong and it leaves a mark. And I don't love the experience. But the new headsets are coming. They're going to be a lot lighter. They're going to be more like glasses. They're going to be less like massive ski goggles and more like just smaller glasses that you put on. And they're going to offer us experiences with the real world and the digital world. And if we ever got to a point, and this is the point, if we ever got to a point where we combined the real world and the digital world to tell the stories in higher education, I think we will succeed in telling people what life is like on our campus. So anyway, it was a lot. Have you used a headset? Did you watch MetaConnect 2023? What do you think about the future of these computers that we're going to put on our heads? And where do you see telling the story of your school with a headset? I'd love to hear your thoughts below in the comments. Thanks for being with me. And you can also subscribe to my newsletter where I talk a lot about this and a lot about what we're doing at 3 Enrollment Marketing. Hope you have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.